Hello, everyone. Welcome back inside the film room. I'm Zach Goins, and today I am joined with everyone's favorite AFC Richmond star. It's Phil Dunster, who plays Jamie Tartt on Ted Lasso. Phil, welcome back. How are you doing?
Thanks, man. I'm doing very well. Yes, I'm bathing in some sunshine here in London, which is...
Well, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that you are actually a prestigious member here, joining Nick Mohammed and Tahib Jamo as a third timer on Inside the Film Room. So it has been a blast to have you on the show, and I'm looking forward to another great discussion.
I can't get enough. I'm sorry. I just keep turning up, and you're like, again? I'm like, yeah.
God, they really want me to interview Phil again? Come on. Can't we switch it up? No, of course. It's always a blast with you. So let's get down to business. First off, congratulations. As always, Ted Lasso still just top of the conversation when it comes to TV, to awards, to everything about this show. Outstanding ensemble at SAG. Best comedy series at Critics' Choice. You're sweeping the PGAs. You're primed for an Emmys run. What a time to be a member of the Ted Lasso family.
I know, it's mad. It is mad, and it's funny as well because the show is not really... It didn't feel like it was ever set up to do this. And I know that...
awards bait, you know?
Right, yeah. It's like, you know, there are some amazing... there are some amazing big shows that sort of seem to be a shoo-in for it. But, you know, it's so funny. And like, you know, Jason Sudeikis and Joe Kelly and Brendan Hunt, who are the creators of the show and all the writers, it's so funny, man. You sit with them and you're like, wow, you are here for the story and you are here for the show. You are not here for like any like hot air around it. And it's wonderful that stuff comes and like everybody's really happy with it. But at the end of the day, it's just about like, you know, trying to make people laugh and also cry a lot, seemingly.
Yeah, shocking amount of emotional distress for a show that is a comedy about soccer.
But it's supposed to be funny, guys, please.
It's refreshing, and I guess it's good to hear that is the outlook, because, you know, when you are in the midst of filming season 3 while all of this award stuff is going on, I feel like it could be easy to be swayed by that, you know, and be like, okay, well, we have to do this in season 3 so we continue to get the awards buzz. But instead, it's nice to hear that none of that matters. Like, it's nice, like you said, but we're not writing around that. Instead, we're just sticking to our story. And if that comes, fantastic.
Wait till you see season 3. You're just going to see us, like, it's someone else's shot, and you're just going to see us doing that, like, getting in front. Oh, Phil, can you get that shot, please? I'm like, I'm sorry,
I have to meet the X amount of scenes in order to be cast as this category. But
you're right. It feels like it's sort of by the by. And I wonder if, you know, the fact that it's all happening over in the UK is quite a nice little... I know it doesn't really work like that, but it feels like a nice little sort of shielding of it all. And it's all fun. It's all fun, isn't it? It's all fun. It's all a laugh, isn't it? It's all a bit of fun.
Well, talking about season 2, what a season for Jamie Tartt. Talk about growth here. You know, completely different character from the, you know, lovable, hateable airhead of season 1 to now this layered character that from Lust Conquers All to rejoining Richmond, confronting his father, confessing his feelings to Keeley. So many different big moments for this character. What was it like for you as you were diving into all of the different layers rather than kind of, you know, just playing the I'm me coach, that kind of character?
Yeah. Growth for sure, personality wise, and also hair. His hair was longer.
Trying to catch up with Danny Rojas.
That's it. Yeah, one day maybe. He looks like a sidebar. There was a footballer called David Ginola. Give him a Google. He was like Head and Shoulders commercial, like shampoo. He was like Baywatch. He's got the same hair. It's amazing. But yeah, I think with it's the dream, really. It's the dream to have a character, for me anyway, to have a character who is twisted and complicated and nasty, whilst also not the story, the world not taking it all too seriously, but also you give him reason to be all of those things. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a real joy to sort of learn about where Jamie went this season, in season 2, and it is, you know, but also I think the cool thing about it feels like it's relatable for anybody who has gone through their 20s and is having a quarter life crisis where they're like, you know, you're like, I've done this growing up thing in adolescence. I've sort of figured out who I want to be, or at least, you know, I have done puberty, and now I'm like, all right, what's my life? And for some people, it's like, well, I need to go traveling. I'm not in the right job. I didn't do the right degree. But I think for Jamie, his version of that, having been a star footballer for that adolescence, is like, who am I? What is it that makes me me? Obviously, without actually asking these questions, because he's a bit of a dum-dum at the end of the day. But he's sort of faced with these questions. And when we see, you know, no spoilers, but there's something that happens from someone from his past comes along and confronts him physically, we see that those questions are like brought front and center to him. And, you know, we see all of the lessons that he's been taught by Keely and by Ted and by Roy. And he starts to, you know, put those lessons into practice, you know.
That sounds like another fantastic scene for this character. But, you know, I just listed off a couple from season 2, but for me, the one that obviously for a lot of the fans, I imagine that stuck out was in episode 8 in Man City, the locker room sequence where his dad is just coming in and ripping him, and you finally stand up to him, that physically stand up to him, but also, you know, kind of just push him out of your life. But such a great scene. I think that alone is enough to send that into the Emmys. That's your submission, your nomination. That's plenty to get a nomination there, in my opinion. But it's so much with so little, because you're not even speaking that much. You're mumbling under your breath to your father, please don't talk to me that way. But it's just all in the eyes, the emotion there. What a scene. Like, my God, I watched it last night before this interview just to get back to refresh myself with it. But what was that like, filming that scene, and how did you approach that?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the things you pick up on there. It's like, and it does, I try to think of this sort of emotionally stunted guy who is sort of still emotionally a bit of a child, as everybody is, but like, you know, he is like emotionally a child. And what it's like on the playground when you've got the bully who is, you know, is like right up in front of you and doesn't let you speak, or just makes you feel so, you know, small. Because, you know, it may surprise your viewers that I am not a professional footballer, and I'm not Jamie Tartt. I don't have, you know, when you don't have those experiences that the person you're portraying has gone through, you have to find what is relative to you.
Right.
And I think what is relatable to other people who watch it. And the reason I think, you know, by the sounds of it, it seems to have struck home, is that whether it's a parent that's doing that, someone from your family, you know, someone who you feel at work is bullying you, or someone who you just feel it's unjust what you're going through. And this is also with Jason, he preloaded all this stuff. Matt Lipsey, who directed that episode, was so good at giving me the information and the sort of inspiration behind what they were going for, and then just the space to let all that percolate. Because I think that's a brave thing to do as directors and creators, to delegate and to go,
right,
this is your thing, you crack on here. And yeah, so I think that yeah, I just try to be like a kid in a playground, effectively. And also Kieran O'Brien, who plays James Tartt, his dad, is like literally an exceptional force on set. You just need to like wind him up and be like, go wreak havoc. And he's
talk about yeah, just a guy who comes into the show and so perfectly embodies just like the despicableness that, like, he I'm sure he's delightful in real life, but the way that he just immediately, like within seconds of him being on the show, it was just like, oh my God, like he's the worst.
Yeah, I agree. And for some reason, I don't know if you can see this, my iPad has done a thumbs up. My iPad agrees with you. Yeah. And he does. He just hits the ground running. And there are loads of guest stars on this that do the same thing. Ellie, who comes in playing Sassy, is so good. Phoebe, who plays Brett's Roy's niece, is, I think, like for me, is like one of the most important characters for one of the like the lead characters' growth that comes in. I think that she does that so incredibly well. and Harriet Waters, who comes in and plays Hannah's mum, Rebecca's mum, is so good. And yeah, I think that we're very #blessed to have these people come in and make the show better.
Well, you mentioned Roy. We can't talk about that Man City scene without getting to the hug at the end. Obviously, that, and then the headbutt to hug in the finale episode. You know, so much growth for those two together. And with that time jump at the end, I know Brendan Hunt has said that there will be a time jump between end of 2 and start of 3. And then we also get that at the end of 2. We get a 3 weeks later, 2 months later, as we see Nate. But I can only imagine that with Keeley gone, that Roy and Jamie are going to be best buds, you know, as we start season 3, right? They're just arm in arm, happy-go-lucky, just absolute best friends.
Wake up, Zach, you're dreaming. Wake up. Yeah, it's literally like candy canes. And yeah, I mean, I literally thought when we did that hug, whilst I was like, as I say, I was like really trying to focus and be in the moment and, you know, do all the things that like serious actors do. I was like there. And then when he hugged me, I was like, I'm going to be the Andy of Twitter right now. This is a lot of people. Because this is a lot of messages that Brett gets from suitors online. And I was like,
how did they work that hug, considering he's just CGI? You were acting against nobody, right? Did they have a puppet for you to hug?
Yeah. No, it was a really, I think also for Brett, one of the cool things is he hasn't said anything in that scene, but because he's been living with it for before we shot that, he would have been writing it for, 6 months before, and then in the writer's room, and then also whilst we were shooting it. I think with moments like that, he's so incredibly good at just, again, in the same way, just sitting back and letting all of the thought process come to the fore. And he walks over with such resoluteness, and it's so silly. I mean, it's just a fucking walk, but he does do it in a way that you can feel the tension of his like idea of toxic, or whatever it is, of who he is, pulling him back, and yet he knows that this is that this is what he has to do. And I think that it's very emblematic when he, as you say, he resists his old family, his dad, and is literally embraced by a new family. And I'm not saying that he's being adopted by Roy at this moment, but there is a moment of acceptance, I think, in that. And I think that Brett knew exactly what he needed to do in that moment in order to portray that. Right.
Well, Phil, I appreciate the time today. It was great catching up with you, chatting season 2, and I'm excited to see what's in store for Jamie Tartt in season 3.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. I'll see you for round 4.
Sounds good, man. All right, big love.
If you enjoyed that interview, be sure to subscribe down below so that you can stay up to date with all our latest Ted Lasso interviews, as well as our podcast episodes, movie and TV news, and more. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, The Rewind, so that you can get all of our interviews delivered straight to your inbox.